Tszyu, Tony Harrison, triangle theory for twin Charlo. Nocturnal thoughts, man. Salute, salute, salute. Bow. So, first of all, I want to say salute to all my new subscribers from Nocturnal. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all comments. You know what I'm saying? In due time, I will try to give a response to all my new comments left in the comment section below. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and leave me a comment so we can chop it up and talk about some boxing. Now, a lot of my new subscribers come from a video I just did about Tszyu, Tszyu's son, and him fighting against Jamel, Charlo, and I'm listening to, first of all, I want to say this. I want to do my due diligence and really study Tszyu leading into this possible fight between him and Charlo. So that's letting you know, I don't know all there is to know about Tszyu. And I wasn't a huge Tszyu fan, but I was aware of him. You know what I'm saying? We all know how he destroyed Super Zab Judah. What was Zab Judah's name? Super something? We've seen the fight with him discombobulating Zab Judah. And Zab Judah was a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? I want to say he was undisputed. I know he was unified. He gave Mayweather a tough fight, and he had a great resume. But my favorite fight that I can remember with Tszyu was against Chico Diego Corrales. That was a great fight. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're not talking about Tszyu no more. We're talking about Tszyu. Say my name, Mr. What's my motherfucking name? And him possibly fighting Jamel Charlo. So I have to do my due diligence and try to study all there is to know about Mr. Say My Motherfucking Name, Tszyu. I done heard some things and people that left me some comments. I would like to fact check it and confirm it and research it for myself. But any information that is provided, I appreciate it. But I do know enough about Jamel Charlo and Tony Harrison to understand, and I know enough about boxing to understand one thing is for sure, two things are for certain. The triangle theory does not work in boxing. So it is quite surprising to me that a lot of people, based off of the way Tszyu destroyed Tony Harrison, are all of a sudden, it seems like crowning him over Jamel Charlo. Like this fight is not to one of my subscribers just left me a comment to say, to use his own words, he said, it's going to be an uphill battle for Tszyu. Now, before Charlo hurt his hand, and before Tszyu fought Harrison, I was looking at this fight differently. I thought that Charlo, I didn't know a lot about Tszyu, and I haven't watched enough of his fights, but I was comparing Tszyu to Brian Castano. So I figured that's going to be a tough fight, because it's not like Jamel Charlo just easily beat Brian Castano, and it's not like Brian Castano was just a slump or tomato can or a bum. Brian Castano is a tough fighter. You know what I'm saying? For the first and for the second fight. Now, what I don't understand, because I don't want to take anything away from Tszyu, but I don't understand how people are not looking at it from every angle as possible, and not really looking at Tony Harrison for where he was at the point in his career, his age, the fact that he lost his father, who was his trainer, the fact that he was training Alicia Baumgartner, just recently training her for a fight, the fact that he's been knocked out multiple times. His last fight, after he fought Jamel Charlo, like Jamel Charlo said, he wasn't the same fighter after me. I don't agree with that. But I do say Tony Harrison, you know, when he won, first of all, people say this about Jamel Charlo, and this doesn't make sense to me. They say Jamel Charlo isn't that good. His resume isn't that good. He lost to Tony Harrison the first time, and to me, he lost the first time against Brian Castano. And I don't understand that logic. I don't even agree to it at all. I say the first Tony Harrison fight between Tony Harrison and Jamel Charlo was a close fight. Tony Harrison got the nod by the judges. He was outboxing Jamel Charlo a lot. But also, if you watch that fight, Jamel Charlo was having a lot of success. And closer to the end rounds, you've seen Tony Harrison start to fade, and you've seen Jamel Charlo start to pour it on, and he had his man hurt badly and almost out of there. So it was a close fight that really could have went either way. And it was one of those fights where I felt like Jamel Charlo probably should have got the nod, but I felt like at the same time, the loss was the best thing for him at that time, because it made him have to elevate. It made him have to understand that, you know what I'm saying, you have to always leave it all in the ring. So in the second fight, he knocked him out, and even then in the second fight, Tony Harrison was showing him the difference in the boxing skills. But don't get it twisted, Tony Harrison was knocked down in the second round. He was hurt badly in the third round. He was hurt multiple times in the fight, but he had a good poker face. He had a great jab. He was on his toes, and he was boxing his way back into the fight until he got knocked out in the 11th round. So I don't say that, oh, Tony Harrison just beat Jamel Charlo the first time like it was an easy fight for Tony Harrison to win. It was a controversial win. It had, you know, it was a close fight. The second fight was a close fight until he got knocked out. Brian Castano, the same thing. The first fight, it really could have went either way, but it was a draw. In my mind, the fight, I done watched that fight multiple times, and that fight, every time I look at it, it's pretty much a draw. You know what I'm saying? Both those guys fought their ass off, and it could have went either way. If Brian would have got the nod, I wouldn't have, you know, disputed it. If Jamel Charlo would have got the nod, I wouldn't dispute it. To me, it was a draw. And in the second fight, you seen what happened. It still was a tough fight, scrappy fight, and Jamel Charlo broke him down and destroyed him. So that's how I look at those two fights. For people to just look at that and say, well, he's showing all these weaknesses to Jamel Charlo, I say this: Jamel Charlo going into the fight with Tszyu, if he would have went in there with his eyes wide shut, he might have got beat by Tszyu. He would have underestimated him. He probably wouldn't have looked at that fight in the same way. He probably wouldn't have trained the same. And he might even went in there with the injured hand, but he didn't. So I feel like now he's going to have to reevaluate this fight, recalibrate himself, and he's going to have to understand that he can't make those same, you know, half steps. He can't make those same mistakes that he did in the Tony Harrison first fight. He can't do what he did in the Brian Castano first fight, and then wait until the second fight to step his game up. He has to bring his A game. You know what I'm saying? He has to be a full fighter. He has to be able to do everything in that ring on that night when he fights Tszyu. But at the same time, I can't just look at Tszyu as just a world beater right now. He had a hell of a fight. He had a hell of a fight in front of a hometown crowd, and you got to give him his proper salute and just due. Now I'm going to do my due diligence and study his older fights and look at some interviews and see his mind when it comes to the craft and comes to the science, and I'll see what I think that I get to have the opportunity to recalibrate my thoughts on Tszyu. You know what I'm saying? Now that it's not just he's just living off of his father's name, because that's how I was looking at it. Now I don't look at him as just living off of his father's name. He's a genuine threat, and I really want to understand the threat, or understand the fighter, and not just use my assumptions based off of that name. because that has been thrown out the window. That cat is out the bag. That toothpaste is out of the tube. You know what I'm saying? We see now that Tszyu is serious. He ain't just, he ain't a novelty. You know what I mean? He a serious fighter, and he got some dangerous elements. But I really want to be under the right understanding of what those elements are, and not just assume. You dig? And either way, I got a pretty good idea. Even once I do my study on him, I'm not going to look at him and just say, oh yeah, he definitely going to beat Jamel Charlo. You know what I'm saying? From what I have seen, because it's not like from what I have seen, I still say that right now, I lean heavily towards Jamel Charlo if he is on his A game. You know what I'm saying? And Tszyu, you know, he, to me, fighting off Tony Harrison, that more earned him that earned him the spot to fight Jamel Charlo. That to me confirms that it's a possibility that he could upset the apple cart. You did, and I want to appreciate his abilities. So I want to study his abilities and come back with a thorough and honest assessment of what kind of a fighter I think Tszyu really is, and how he would fare against Jamel Charlo. That's my time. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Like I said, I appreciate all my new subscribers. I feel like right now Tszyu getting a lot of traction, and maybe it's past due credit that he wasn't getting before, and he had to earn it. And now that he is earning it, I want it to be in the proper context and a proper perspective. I don't want it to be hype. I don't want it to be overinflated off of a Tony Harrison victory, and I don't want it to be underrated either. I want it to be exactly what it's supposed to deserve, giving this man his credit and his just due based off of his abilities and his mentality and his performance and his potential of what he can do in the future. Those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Yeah, that's it.